Welcome to Northern Michigan Update. I'm State Senator Jason Allen, and today we have Bob LaBrant from the Michigan Chamber of Commerce with us. And every few years we have representatives in from the Michigan Chamber. So Bob, it's nice to have you here today.
Senator, it's good to be here.
Give me a little bit of an overview, and I've worked closely with your organization for my 10 years here in the legislature. What types of things does the Michigan Chamber do?
Well, the Michigan Chamber of Commerce is principally an advocacy organization. We try to represent our members' interests before the state legislature, before state agencies, regulatory bodies. In addition, we have a service corporation which does a lot of seminars and workshops. We also have an insurance program that we market to our members. But first and foremost, I think we're primarily an advocacy organization.
Now your membership, I know our family for a few years was members of your organization. You run from sort of mom and pop shops all the way up to General Motors and Ford. Is it a?
That's correct.
Okay.
We have about 7,100 members.
Wow.
And they do range in size from one or two person operations all the way up to industrial giants.
Right. Now what I know, like in Northern Michigan, Bill Kurtz a decade ago was president. Who else has been sort of in the leadership position from the Petoskey, Sault Ste. Marie, Traverse City area?
Well, we've been fortunate. As you mentioned, Bill Kurtz was the chairman of our board at one point in his career. And we've had other individuals from
I know Chris McGinnis.
Yeah,
Was
Chris
one.
McGinnis
Right.
from Crystal Mountain was the chairperson of our board. Dan Musser from the Grand Hotel. I think Northern Michigan has been well represented on our executive committee as well as the chair positions at the Michigan Chamber.
And so you've, as your advocacy group, and the thing that I've always appreciated about it is that you've been not just manufacturing or not just commercial, but you cover the full gambit of things. And
our membership is as diverse as Michigan business. We have a large number of manufacturers, but we have an increasingly larger component of companies that represent the retail and service industries, as well as agriculture and agribusiness.
What are some of the big topics that are going on right now as far as discussion within your board and your committee?
Well, I think the Michigan business tax, and particularly the surcharge on Michigan business, is an issue that I think our board is most concerned about.
Now the rewrite of the Michigan business tax, the first issue that I think a lot of people have been concerned about from the retail sector and being a son of a haberdasher is this tax on the tax. And can you kind of explain how that works, and then we'll go into the surcharge next?
Well, I'm not the tax expert at the Michigan Chamber
Right.
of Commerce. We have a staff person who specializes on that. But under the old single business tax, the more employees you had, you would have a tax on the fact that you had those people on your payroll. And as a result, I think that was a disincentive for Michigan business to grow and expand. Then on healthcare benefits,
Right.
there was basically that was worked into the formula as far as what you would pay under the single business tax. So there were a lot of things in the Michigan tax code that discouraged expansion, here in Michigan, and the legislature, I think, rightfully repealed the single business tax, and what was created may not have been perfect, but that's part of the legislative process. But what concerns us most is is an attempt to remove from the Michigan compiled laws a new service tax, which we think would have been absolutely devastating. To meet that revenue shortfall, it was a surcharge on the Michigan business tax at somewhere around 22 or some percent, I believe, was added to allow for the repeal of that that service tax.
Now, the things that I'm hearing back on the whole tax structure is that with this surcharge, it really, any savings that were maybe put in place under the new business tax have been eroded. And it's really become a disincentive for investment, because we've got two components: the whole issue on taxation on people that are collecting taxes, which is wrong, and that's about $130 million. And then the surcharge is running in the upwards of $500 to $700 million, depending on who you talk to. And what I'm hearing is that this has been sort of another nail in the coffin why people are moving into Michigan or staying in Michigan. As far
Well, it would seem to me that if you were a company looking to move your operations to Michigan, and you saw that on top of this tax, you were going to have to pay a surcharge, that it seems to me to be quite a disincentive.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Where do you see sort of the growth in the Michigan economy for the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, I think the growth is going to occur in things, like the service sector. The other areas of, I think, growth are in probably the technology area. I mean, I think we are blessed as a state to have three of the finest kind of research universities in the United States: the University of Michigan, Michigan State, Wayne State. And that kind of creates an environment that would allow for the creation of some of these tech industries.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's very exciting to be taking a look at it when you take a look at the studies, and we really appreciate the breadth of the Michigan Chamber staff, because when you start talking about, you've got experts in tax policy, and you've got experts in manufacturing, you've got experts in healthcare, in the area that you have is on elections, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. It's just amazing to sort of see what the potentials are. But
I think as we look at alternative fuel sources, and look at the emerging technologies that actually will propel future generations of automobiles. There's no reason why that kind of fuel cell technology or electronic technology,
all those will be able
doesn't stay here in really, kind of the center of the auto industry, not only here in the United States, but internationally as well.
Yeah. Now, how did you get involved with the Chamber of Commerce activities?
Well, my first job in the private sector when I left the United States Army after service in Vietnam was with the Appleton Area Chamber of Commerce in Appleton, Wisconsin.
What did you do in the military?
I was, I was a transportation officer, kind of a logistics officer. And when I was stationed in Washington, D.C., I went to graduate school at American University in public relations. So when I went to Vietnam, I was a civil military affairs officer and public information officer.
Yeah. That's what my background in the military was. I spent 2.5 years in public affairs, and then the balance of my time in an Army unit. And latter part of my service was in public affairs, and that gives you an overview. So thank you for your service as we're celebrating our Veterans Month and holiday. So you went from there to the Appleton?
Yeah, I went to the Appleton Area Chamber of Commerce, and I did local governmental affairs, and I did all of their publications. And the local state representative got elected to Congress, and so I went with him to Washington, D.C. to be his press secretary.
Wow.
And then I later came back to Wisconsin and worked for the Metropolitan Milwaukee Chamber.
Okay.
And I was their lobbyist over in Madison, Wisconsin, and developed an expertise in political action committees. And it was from there that I came over here to Michigan.
Right. So then you came to work for the Michigan Chamber, and so what are some of the projects you've been involved with over the years with the Michigan Chamber and political action committees and the different ballot initiatives and those types of things?